the ANC has expressed concern over the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The party says it strongly believes that it must be the parties directly involved in the conflict that must sit down and negotiate. Now, joining me to talk about this is the ANC's Chairperson of International Relations Subcommittee. That's Lindiwe Zulu. She talks to us via the virtual platform. Ms. Zulu, thank you very much for your time. Can I just ask what South Africa's foreign policy stance is when a country invades another using military force? I think you're muted. I'm unable to hear you there. All right, now I can hear you.
Yes, it's technology. Thank you very much, Cody, and a very good morning to you and a very good morning to your viewers. We start from a point of the fact that we would like to see and would like to live in a peaceful world. Overall, it doesn't matter where the conflict is happening. We believe that at all material times, we have to try our best to make sure that we don't have any war going on, because we understand and appreciate the impact that that has on any people. And therefore, in any given time, we call on the warring parties, if I can call it that, that they have to stop the war. They have to do everything they can, preferably through negotiations, to end a war.
Yeah. All right. A United Nations resolution is expected to be debated and possibly voted on this week. In fact, I'm led to believe that that might be today. If the overwhelming majority of countries represented at the UN vote to condemn Russia for invading Ukraine, what will our stance be as South Africa?
As we are all aware of the UN Charter itself and the fact that we are part and parcel of the United Nations as a country and the entire African continent, and we are very much aware of the fact that the UN Charter must be upheld at all times and therefore encourage efforts to find a peaceful solution. Because we belong to the broader world, we will then have to support the proposals if it is, as you rightfully say, overwhelmingly supported by the United Nations, the member states who are in the United Nations. And we have been following the debates and the discussions as different countries have been presenting their positions. And I'm sure you're aware of the fact that South Africa also, through our Ambassador Nombozolo, did make a presentation to that debate yesterday already.
Yeah. All right. And let me ask you this direct question. Is it South Africa's belief that Russia is the aggressor in this war that is going on between itself and Ukraine?
It is South Africa's belief that the whole war situation that we are finding ourselves in, or the peoples of Russia and Ukraine are finding themselves in, and the region, started quite a while back and unfortunately escalated into an international interest of unbelievable proportion when other countries and other bodies such as NATO involved themselves, and also Russia's position of feeling threatened by NATO coming closer to its borders. So our understanding is that all parties that have been involved, and that's the reason why we are calling not for others to interfere in the process, but allow and enable the countries concerned and the people's concerned to be given an opportunity to go and speak. And the good thing is that they've started already the discussions between Russia and Ukraine. It's oversimplifying it for me and for us if we say we just condemn Russia's aggression without a full appreciation and understanding of the conflict itself, where it started, and the involvement of other nations who are deeply involved in it right now, including the fact that there are sanctions that are being imposed. And we know, as a country, what the meaning of that is. And so we continue to call for a peaceful resolution of the conflict right now.
Do you stand with the stance that was taken by South Africa's Department of International Relations and Cooperation that Russia should withdraw its troops and head to the negotiating table?
Absolutely. We fully believe that all parties concerned, because, again, it's not proper to be one-sided about it. It's proper for us to say all parties that are involved with all the amassing of weapons, all parties involved, because if you look at also the historical perspective and the background, you know that the region of the region and the other neighboring countries have been complaining about Ukraine itself, have been complaining about the usage of weapons and attacking the two countries. So that's why we consistently say as South Africa, it doesn't help anybody to want to be put and pushed into a particular corner. We don't want to be pushed in any corner. All we want to call for is the two sides to find space to have a negotiated settlement. And again, we repeat, the fact that they've started talking to each other is a good sign for us. And also we would like to call and call all others who are involved to also appreciate both sides of the coin and understand that Russia had its own concerns and also understand that Ukraine also has its own concerns.
Yeah, all right. I appreciate that you wouldn't want to be pushed into any particular corner, but let me ask you a slightly more philosophical question here, and that has to do with after a period of apartheid solution. South Africa gradually reclaimed its position on the international stage. Now, given this background, Ms. Zulu, against the backdrop of an increasingly interdependent world, on which side would South Africa want to be remembered when history is recounted?
When history is recounted, South Africa will be remembered and should always be remembered on bringing peace to the world. And that is why, as the African National Congress, we are very consistent in all our resolutions of conferences. We are consistent in our own engagements, bringing peace to the world. We are also very consistent in calling for negotiated settlement. We are also very consistent in engaging ourselves where we have been asked to come along and share our own experience of how we resolve things. Let me also say that right now, South Africa must not only be looked from a point of view of its government in terms of the call for peace and in terms of our involvement in conflict areas. It must also be looked directly from a point of view of a nation that is committed to peace and stability and friendship in the continent. Other bodies outside of government keep on being called globally to come and assist in resolving conflicts wherever conflicts are.
Ms. Zulu, thank you very much for your time. And I'm just wondering whether you would be keen at all to give us your sense on the latest installment of the report that's come out from the Zondo Commission. It's not had beautiful things to say about the role of the ANC and its members.
Yes, it's nothing new that I'm saying that the African National Congress has enabled this report to take place. The African National Congress, because we believe in good governance, we believe in building institutions and strengthening institutions of governance. The report is here now. What is important for us is what are we going to do about it? How are we going to look at that report and read that report with a view of ensuring that we fix what went wrong in order for us to ensure a better South Africa? I know that it might be easy to say so. There are people that are implicated in many of those reports. They also have their rights to defend themselves when the time comes for them. But the report is here. Let us deal with the report. Let the report help us as a nation to create a better South Africa that is free from corruption, free from such activities. It doesn't matter which corner, or it doesn't matter where they come from. It's our time to deal with the report and make sure that going forward, we don't have a repetition of what happened.
Lindiwe Zulu is the chairperson of the ANC Subcommittee on International Relations. Thank you very much for your time.